Wait a minute. Oh my god! Wow, 100 days in hardcore modded Minecraft. That was certainly a challenge, especially considering that this mod pack is known for its large adventures and dangerous mobs. And to make things worse, this time, I was all alone. So for those of you who have not watched my duo 100 days hardcore Minecraft video, I highly recommend that you go check that out, as that was an absolute blast too. And you guys seem to really enjoy it, and I seriously appreciate the support from all of you guys on that video. As you can tell, unfortunately Ethan is not in this video, and that is because we just had lots of important tests at school, and hence we are both on at different times and we're struggling to find the time to work on videos together. But we are now back on the grind, so stay tuned for more videos like this. Just before the video starts guys, I need a quick favour from you guys. Please smash like and subscribe to make all the stress I endured worth it, because trust me, it really does help me to make more videos. Enough talk, it's now time for what you are all really here for. Enjoy. And we were in, ready to jump headfirst into this mod pack. I was already off to a better start than last time, as I actually remembered to record day 1. You would think that wouldn't be such an accomplishment, but yeah, nah, I'm stupid. I used to play modded Minecraft a while back and remember that there is ore excavation in this mod pack, so I just conveniently broke the whole tree in one swing. And boom, we completed our first ever quest, allowing us to choose a nice little reward. I went with the archer because after a few failed attempts of the mod pack, I found out that this comes with an infinity bow, which is super useful in the early parts of the playthrough. I placed down the starter house blueprint and selected the ranch style because I think it looked the coolest. This is a really awesome part of the mod pack because it also provides you with stone tools and a full leather armor set, saving you the boredom of the usual start in a Minecraft world. It also has a ladder straight down where you can just instantly begin strip mining for ores. What? And yes, you can just right click ladders to teleport up and down them. Also, any resources destroyed in the automatic ladder building process are put into the chest at the bottom, just if you were wondering what the chest is actually for. It was now mining time. I soon came across this open lava area, so I grabbed as much of the ore as I could before heading back up the ladder. Time was going really fast as it was already night time, so I quickly made an emerald pickaxe from the 3 emeralds in the ladder chest and then went to sleep. 3 emeralds were actually a godsend because this pickaxe is better than diamond already, meaning I had no trouble mining any of the random ores that I found down in the strip mine. These ores included redstone gold, iron, diamonds, and a lot more. Once I got back from my little mining trip, I made a few furnaces to smelt the ores. But what is that? A blood moon is rising? What in the Well, it didn't sound good, so I tried sleeping it away, but I was not able to sleep because that is actually a part of the blood moon. So I geared up for the night in case bad things happen and made myself a full set of iron armor and a diamond sword. There was a seemingly abnormal amount of mobs, so I just assumed that that was because of the blood moon. The spruce fence was really coming in clutch, making it impossible for mobs to get to me, so I could just freely kill them. Such lovely free XP. Oh my Jesus, what just happened? Yeah, nah, I was not staying out there, so back to the mine it was. I was not taking any risks with some random shit like that. After collecting more diamonds, emeralds, and all the other stuff, I began smelting the ores. And so, what? We have a supersonic furnace. Well, that is certainly extremely useful. The next day, I found this little tower near to my base, so I decided to go and check it out. And oh, we found a wizard. He trades a bunch of stuff that I don't understand. Yeah, nah mate, I'ma just steal your bookshelves. Apparently he didn't like that and ended up fireballing me. I had absolutely no idea what I was up against and didn't want to risk the playthrough, so I just left him in peace. After collecting my coins for the quest completion, I went downstairs to mine to go grab some obsidian for an enchantment table. But it didn't work. Yeah, I had no idea once again, so I just left it for the time being. Early on the next day, I made a mattock from the obsidian I gathered yesterday. And this is OP as it breaks a 3x3 area, which is super awesome. I soon stumbled upon some sandstone looking area, which is extremely unusual, so I knew something was up. I started building across so I can see what is up on the ledge, and oh my god, there was a skeleton just sitting there waiting for me. I started panicking and had to run to safety before getting my revenge. Now there were no more threats to stop me, and oh my god, what is that? A skeleton with a shank? That can also do parkour apparently? Luckily I just about trapped him before he got a killing blow onto me. Surely it was safe this time. I know, no it wasn't. I figured there was a spawner by now, so I needed to get to it before even more spawned. Eventually I got to the spawner and found a chest underneath it. And oh my word, a sharpness 30 diamond sword. I'm not sure how rare this is, but let's just say my playthrough basically became peaceful mode after this. After a little more mining, I went back to the base and upgraded to some emerald armor. I wanted to test out this crazy new weapon, so I went to explore a large pyramid nearby. Unfortunately, the pyramid was really confusing and didn't appear to have that much loot, so I just left it. But at least you can see how OP this weapon is. Next to the pyramid was a monster tower, so I began working my way to the top, grabbing any good loot along the way. The golem at the top was glitched a little bit, so I grabbed the items and then killed him before leaving and going to sleep for the night. The next day I made 2 bags of holding so that I could go mining with the mattock without my inventory being permanently clogged. I ended up finding some random spawner thingy, so I went over and broke, and out of nowhere a ton of mobs came pouring out. However, as we know by now, this sword is rather powerful, so they were absolutely no match for me. There was so much to explore, yet most of the loot was quite bad, so I ended up going home, by which I was definitely not lost at all. Nah, that couldn't be me. With a little help from the minimap, I eventually made it back to the base, so I went to sleep. I then spent the whole of the next day making a 7x7 colossal chest and connecting it upstairs so that I can store everything inside of a cool storage system, meaning I did not really have to worry about making a ton of chests to store all my items. Just before the end of the day, I made a Reforging Station and essentially just improved the quality of my mattock. I then started looking into mystical agriculture, as I had enjoyed using the mod before, so I made some of the basic items to get started with it. I soon realised that I had nowhere near enough Inferium Essence to do much with it, so yet again I just went mining. There was a bunch more loot within the caves, but yet again it was nothing compared to the sword that I found. Early the next day, I looted a little hut nearby, and got some cool looking books and an upgrade to my chestplate. I then made a torch launcher so that I could shoot torches everywhere. My gear was looking a lot better now, so I went back up to the wizard tower to steal all of the bookshelves, as I was too lazy to make my own. I needed to get some wool, so I was out looking for some sheep. I came across some weird wizard altar and was brutally attacked by magic. After taking down the wizards, I grabbed my rewards and then returned home. The next day, I made a blueprint for a larger house. Unfortunately, I accidentally selected the wrong prefab and built a spruce house rather than an acacia house, but overall it still didn't look too bad. Upstairs, I built a little enchant area so that I could begin enchanting my gear. And to finish the day, I made the materials to connect my storage system to my new house. Once I had finished connecting up the new house to the storage system, I enchanted a book with multi-shot 3 allowing me to shoot several arrows with my bow. And I also enchanted another book with reach 5, meaning I can now hit enemies from much further away, with slightly reduced damage. I then went with a feather falling 6 on my boots, and also got prop 4 and unbreaking 5, which was amazing. And finally I enchanted my leggings with projectile protection 6 and last stand 2, which was awesome because last stand 2 means that when I would normally die, I can take damage as XP. I then made a nether portal upstairs, and before going there I knew I needed to be prepared. So I made a hang glider to be able to traverse the terrain much more easily. I then also made a grappling hook, which was absolutely amazing and super useful. I found some cool structure thing with a spawner, so I went over to explore it. And oh my god, it was a ghast spawner. That kind of shook me, not gonna lie. We did eventually get back up there and destroy it. And wow, nice, 4 chests full of good loot. Eventually I found it, and it was right next to a blaze spawner, which was super convenient. The loot in the chests weren't bad either, so I was pretty happy with that too. I explored a lot more of the fortress, but if I showed everything we would be here forever, as it took about 4 days in total. But I did decide to head back as I had gotten the experience and blaze rods that I came for. I was opening some of the loot bags that I collected from the nether trip, and I actually got a nice chestplate, which gave me a nice boost to my health. I then made an XP drain so that I don't waste XP when enchanting, and decided to go for the siphon enchant for my mattock, which puts items straight into my inventory when mined. And we also got Sage's Blessing, which gives us more XP. I then also enchanted my Knight's chestplate with Vigor, giving me an extra 4 hearts on top of the hearts it already gave me. I wanted protection 4 off my old chestplate, so I made a disenchantment table to easily retrieve that enchant. And finally, I enchanted a power 4 bow. I then applied all the books and repaired any necessary equipment, and also used a fishing rod I had to get Unbreaking 4 off of it and onto my mattock. Just before the end of the day, I made a chicken pet, which is actually kinda insane because it gives you speed 4 when in your hotbar and only requires seeds in your inventory to feed from. The next day I also made a blaze pet to get strength and fire attacks, and then spent the rest of the day gathering enough resources for the barn blueprint for keeping animals. It was now time to actually go out and get our animals so that we could start breeding. So, like the last 100 days video, I opted for sheep and cows as they were just the closest to the base. I decided that it was time to make a mob spawner, so I began gathering the materials for that. I did also breed our animals once again too. To finish the mob farm, I put a drop of evil on the dirt and patched it up with dark glass, meaning we can see in there, but actually no light is in there, and therefore mobs can spawn. It turned out to work quite well, as I also added an automatic item collector that would just put any items it picks up straight into the main storage system. However, my inventory still did get slightly clogged, as the collector was a little bit delayed. It wasn't the prettiest, but it would do for now. I once again had enough XP to enchant, and so I enchanted iron leggings for Swift 6, so that I could extract the enchant and slap it onto my actual leggings. Swift 6 with chicken pet speed was actually insane. My name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man alive, even though I get outpaced every single series. Anyways, I also wanted to experiment with elevators, so I made a few of them and then placed them down to make going up and down the base much easier. The distance wasn't great, so I had to use 3 rather than 2, which just felt absolutely awful, but I decided to stick with it for now. After grinding back up again, I actually got some protection 5 gold pants from the mob farm, and hence I took the enchant straight off of it. With all my levels, I did end up improving my gear quite a lot, especially my tools. I was getting bored of staying at home, so I went out adventuring, hoping for something exciting. I actually found a really cool item that when I ate it, it gave me a permanent crafting table sized inventory, which was super handy. I continued my adventure overnight and actually took down another one of those mob towers I completed earlier in the playthrough. After a few annoying crashes, I decided to just head home. The next day, I figured out that the elevators were being super glitchy as I started suffocating inside a wall, which was not very enjoyable. Next, I decided to build an Aether portal on the 2nd level of the elevator, and yes, that symmetry was really triggering me too, but I did, yet again, leave it for now. I then headed into the Aether for the first time ever and had no idea what to expect. All I knew about the dimension so far was that I didn't like it. Not one bit. It looked super dangerous and I didn't want to risk anything too much here. I couldn't leave quite yet though, as curiosity drove me to build over to a large island and explore it. But it didn't have anything other than a bit of fancy looking ore, so I was just out of there ASAP. Once back in the overworld, I thought about automating mob killing, however they had purposely removed all ways of auto killing mobs with certain machines or traps, so I had to make a lava dispenser circuit, which I had never actually done before, and it is quite embarrassing how long this actually took me to get right. However, I did end up getting the circuit to work, and I felt pretty satisfied with the result. Realistically, it probably wasn't that good, but I really didn't know what else I could do to automate it better than that. The next day I had a look in the quest book and saw there was a whole magic section that I hadn't explored yet, so I got started working through the quest and learning along the way. I was experimenting with some new spells and went to kill the zombie nearby, and oh my gosh, a creeper almost blew me up and ended my whole career. But luckily the last stand enchant came in clutch, as you can see that I actually lost XP instead of dying. I did end up going back mining for some more magic crystal, as I could then use that to make mana flasks. And yes, as you can see, within the same goddamn day, I almost died twice to some absolute mad lad creepers. I certainly had my jump scares for that day, is all that I can say. I then upgraded my wand to apprentice level, unlocking the use of a bunch of new spells that actually seemed a lot more useful, as they actually did some decent damage. I couldn't just be using these spells, so I had to make a wizard outfit just so I felt pretty cool. That was a nice productive building session. Time to chill out and go to sleep. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Huh? What? How did So as you can see, from day 44 to 50, my recording just decided that it wasn't going to work. But over these days, I mainly worked on building and decorating the basement of the house, which you can probably hear in the background. I decided to pause the building of the house as I had my eyes set on a new target, the Twilight Forest. I was going to collect a lot of loot, so I started by making a feed bag for my inventory pets to save space on their food. I then made an emerald ring and amulet, and then reforged those until they gave me a good enough buff for me to wear as a little bonus resistance. Remember at the start where I chose a class? Yeah, that class comes with certain skills already upgraded in the skill book. And the next step in preparation was adding these skill points. But adding skill points was very expensive, but I did manage to get an extra 10% damage reduction overall. The next day I made an upgraded storage remote, meaning that I could access my storage network from an unlimited distance. Except I didn't know that that didn't include alternate dimensions, such as the Twilight Forest. I made a couple more pets that I was going to likely need, and then headed out to collect some poppies and dandelions before constructing the portal. And boom, the portal was ready, so I jumped straight in. I had no idea where I was going, nor what I was doing, but I followed the quest book and ended up making a magic map. I began heading towards a little icon on the map and tried entering, but it was just blinding me constantly, so instead I followed the quest book's progression once again and decided to fight a Naga first. Unfortunately for the Naga, my gear was a little too strong, so I easily collected its trophy. I then decided to head towards a Lich King tower and try to take him down next. The tower itself didn't really offer much loot, so I decided to take on the Lich King. But what? I couldn't use my sword. I panicked for a second. I mean, it's not as if the sword has carried my ass through this modpack or anything. I composed myself and realised that I could reflect the Lich King's projectiles to break down the shield. Once the shield was down, it was only a matter of seconds before the Lich King would be down too. The Lich dropped a super cool scepter and enchanted gear, which was actually better than I had expected. Before returning home, I decided to take on another Lich King as it wasn't too far away. But this time, it dropped much more exotic loot with stuff that I didn't really understand how to use. All I know is I got some zombie spawning scepter and some item that makes me invincible to dying once, or something like that. From my Twilight battles, I now had enough heart crystals to upgrade my max health by 1 extra heart. Furthermore, I noticed that my gear was looking a little bit low, so I tried making a few things to repair them, but that plan failed miserably, especially considering that the anvil pet is just straight up disabled. So, I wasted a few materials there, unfortunately. I headed back into the Twilight Forest, but this time with a new map, because I lost my old one. However, this time it gave me a new map because I activated it in a slightly different location. A Naga was really close by, so I quickly killed that for the heart crystal and the extra trophy. I then saw a Hydra on the minimap and was super hyped to go try and kill it. However, once I got there were these strange yellow shield particles everywhere, meaning that some sort of spell was protecting the Hydra, similar to the darkness in the forest. After a little research, I found out that there were a few prerequisites to the Hydra boss fight. But first, I wanted to head home and make sure I was fully prepared. This was where the enchanted gold equipment from the Lich fight came in handy, as it provided me with a few books to put on my helmet and my sword. The next day, I headed straight down into the labyrinth. And after a lot of searching, and I mean a lot of searching, I finally found the boss room. I mean, like, come on, he didn't even put up a fight. But I did in fact get the meat stroganoff that I had to consume to unlock the Hydra fight. Yet again, I headed home to sort out some loot and improve my gear as much as possible. Before attempting to slay the Hydra, I wanted to complete that dark forest icon that I encountered earlier. This time it was much better as the Lich King spell over the forest has been lifted so that I can actually see where I was going. I opened the hatch with a Naga trophy and dove straight in. After exploring pretty much the entire fortress, I finally found the Phantom Knights. I was certainly too overpowered for this dimension, however I had committed to collecting all the trophies and I had to finish doing so. The gear that I found from the Phantom Knights was still providing little upgrades here and there, as I actually added homing to my bow, and as you can see, it's a pretty damn cool enchant. On the way to the Hydra fight, I took on another Naga and another Lich King, which gave me some really nice golden boots. I really wanted mending on my chestplate, and so I quickly added that before taking on the Hydra. Finally, no more weird yellow shield thing. The Hydra actually turned out to be a really easy fight, just like the rest of them. I then forged the fiery sword and the fiery helmet from the Hydra's blood to get some cool sounding achievement. There was another boss in sight in the Twilight Forest once again. This time it was the Snow Queen. The Snow Queen is supposedly the end boss of the Twilight Forest, and so I was expecting a bit of a challenge, which got me quite excited. However, just before this, I ended up fighting an Alpha Yeti along the way. I eventually arrived at her doorstep, and oh my word, what is that? It is literally an Aurora Borealis building. No, literally, it's made out of Aurora blocks. What the hell? On my way up, I found myself a nice little ender bow, and also an ice bow. I then found the true leader of this world, the one and only ruler, King Pingu. Eventually I got bored of traversing up the tower, and just decided to climb to the boss room and vein mine my way in. The Snow Queen yet again wasn't all too difficult, but she did drop an awesome bow. Halfway home I realised that I had left the damn trophy behind and had to climb all the way back up to the top just to collect it. It was now time to make the god bow, and so I transferred all the enchants off my current bow onto the tri-bow that I just got from the Snow Queen fight, including a new enchant called Quick Draw 3, which, as you guessed, allows me to draw my bow back much faster. I'm not quite sure how many arrows this bow was shooting, but the bow itself does 3 and then multi-shot adds an extra 2, so I estimate around 5 or 6 arrows, which is just madness. I then randomly discovered that you actually have cosmetic armor slots in your inventory, so that I could actually look cool instead of showing this awful looking chestplate. I decided on a Phantom Knight helm and the rest as emerald armour, and I think it looks pretty cool overall. And before sleeping, I added a new enchant to my helmet called Rebounding, which supposedly flings away melee attackers, which will be interesting to see how that works. I may have defeated the intended final boss of the Twilight Forest, the Snow Queen. However, there was still one boss in the Twilight Forest that I hadn't killed yet, the Urghast. On my way there, I actually encountered some crazy buff zombie which I'd never seen before. I also realised that my wing charm was out of durability and didn't want to risk dying to full damage, so I headed back and forged a new one. The golden boots that dropped from the infernal zombie actually had Vitae 6, which gets another boost to my health. But adding this enchant was going to cost 48 levels, meaning I may as well go fight the Urghast, get some XP, and then if I need some more, I'll come back and get some. I soon arrived at what seemed to be another type of large tower. And yes, you guessed it, I just climbed straight up the side and into the boss room. I do apologise if you think I should have done it legit by going all the way up the tower, but the loot inside these towers is often not really worth it for me. And boom, the Urghast was massive. It was causing deadly ghast tier rain and had an extremely large health pool, but luckily so did I. And after a lot of arrows, I finally took it down. I now had all the Twilight Forest boss trophies, which is just awesome. The next day, I still needed to grind a few more levels before adding Vitae 6 to my gear. So, while waiting for mobs to spawn, I decided to open a couple of chance cubes that I received as a reward for some quests. On the first one, I almost died to some anvils falling at the speed of sound. What a way to die that would have been. Oh, we got an ocelot and some bones. I decided to try and tame the ocelot with some raw fish, but for some reason it just kept running away constantly. I knew I was obviously doing something wrong, so I sadly just had to leave it. After quite a bit more grinding, we finally got to level 48 and slapped on the Vitae 6 for some nice extra health. I then began a mini project idea of trying to make and collect as many of the inventory pets as I possibly could. I ran into my first problem when I required pumpkin pie, as all I could seem to find were jack-o'-lanterns, but then suddenly my absolute beast of a brain remembered back to a room in the Phantom Knights dungeon where there are a few pumpkins. I collected them and then continued the mass production of inventory pets. But there were two major problems. The first being I was going to need a hell of a lot more gold, and the second being that some of these pets can only be found and not actually crafted. So I knew that my first objective was going to be to get some more gold. I did manage to get another about 7 blocks of gold, so I was pretty happy with that, as it allowed me to make another 9 inventory pets. Over the next couple of days, I went to the nether to try and find the mini dungeons that spawn on the lava, as I remembered that in the chests they often had inventory pets in them. And as a bonus, they also spawn wither skeletons, which I can kill to get wither skulls, as I was in desperate need of some nether stars. Luckily, this whole experience was made much easier by the fact that the magma cube pet allows me to run on lava. While I was in the nether, I also conquered a blaze tower and obtained a corrupted pearl, which is essentially a reusable ender pearl. I did find quite a few existing pets, but then I did come across an uncraftable moon pet, which was pretty damn cool. I found another pet too. This time it was the shield pet, which gives group resistance. Then suddenly I found the wither pet, which was really awesome, as that required a nether star to actually craft it too. And the pet was pretty cool in itself. Over the next 3 days, I just kept grinding wither skeletons and fortresses for as many wither skeleton skulls as possible, and I came back with 10, which I was super happy with. Please do remember that I did this over several days, and also having looting 4 on my sword, so I did not cheat them in as some of you expected last time. Yeah, I see you guys, don't worry. I had 11 wither skeleton skulls in total now, so it was about time that I dominated some withers. They were really easy, as my gear was crazy good, and they appeared to me the same as normal and not buffed or anything like that. Each wither seemed to drop a nether star, supremium essence and a heart crystal shard, which is actually pretty nice. During a blood moon, I stumbled upon a zombie villager and managed to get him inside the house. After a bit of pain, I finally managed to get him trapped upstairs, and I knew that I had to give him a name. He was finally here. Everyone welcome, Steve 2.0. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't understand who Steve is, I highly recommend you watch my vanilla 100 days hardcore video with Ethan. The nether had also provided me with quite a bit more gold, so I made a few more inventory pets, including one that gives me resistance to, and another that allows me to summon some quantum minions. I did end up curing Steve to his stable and regular villager state. Shit, did I say Steve? I meant Steve 2.0, baby. 5 days of hard work later, I'd completed the building of my basement. We had a trophy room, Steve 2.0's disco, and a vault for my gear. Once again, let me know how I did on the building, as I do really enjoy making the base look cool and seeing what you guys think about it. I was now into the final 4 days of an amazing journey, so it was time to begin the search for the Stronghold so that we could complete the main goal of the 100 days, to take down the Ender Dragon. I don't know what it is with exploring, but I think some of the terrain in this mod pack doesn't generate properly for me, so I had a couple of crashes which was really annoying, but I did end up finding the Stronghold. And to be honest, it probably took me just as long to find the bloody portals for some reason. I was struggling so much to find them. Well, it was time to jump in. At least the end looked pretty similar, so I knew what I was doing. Or so I thought, as soon as I realised that the homing on my bow meant that shooting the end crystals was practically impossible. However, between my slowful charm and my spider pet, I managed to just climb the towers and take them out pretty easily. I got my first striking opportunity and I took it in full swing. It was starting to get really low on health, but just about flew away before I could slay it. It came down to rest on its perch once again, and this time I punished it for good. And there we had it. Our main goal was now complete. I could finally rest. Yo guys, it's me, Ollie. I hope you enjoyed my solo modded 100 days, as I know I sure did. I may continue the series depending on how it's received, however, I know for sure that we will be doing a modded hardcore with Ethan, so stay tuned for that by subbing and turning notifications on. Furthermore, if you made it this far into the video, I know you have watched the whole video, and that in itself I must thank you so much for, as it really does help my video get to as many people as possible. But just one quick favour before you leave. Please like the video, as it only takes 10 seconds and you can do it on your way out. And with that being said guys, it's been a pleasure and I can't wait to see you guys again. So, take care for now.